and I'm so excited that you're here joining us again this week. It's going to be another amazing and fabulous show, and I'm so excited to welcome this week my fabulous guest, Dale Rees-Bevan.
Hi, Michele.
Hey, Dale. Welcome to the show, and it's so exciting to have you here. Now, Dale is an incredible and accomplished speaker. She is a world certified speaking coach. She's the author of The Speaking Formula. She also has a company called the Speakers Bank Australia, and she's also been president of the Professional Speakers Association. But there's so much more to Dale, and I'd love for her to be telling us all about herself. So please, Dale, do you want to share a little bit more about yourself?
Sure, thank you, Michele, for inviting me on the show. I guess the best place for me to start is, yes, I'm a speaker and trainer focusing on helping people with their presentation skills. I was actually an incredibly shy student in primary school. All my school reports said Dale has to learn to speak up in class. So I came from a background of being just someone who went through life terrified. And it was only, I think, once I'd got my teaching qualifications and got used to standing up in front of classes and joined Toastmasters, got regular practice, that I started realizing it wasn't something that needed to generate all this fear. And I think one of the pivotal moments for me was when I was teaching at a girls' school in Cape Town and realized that there were all these students who desperately needed help with their presentation skills. You know, they were younger versions of me, you know, really nervous and lacking confidence. So I put together courses to run in the evenings for them. And after a few months of this, the teachers started coming to me and said, you know that course you're doing for all the students, do you think you could run something like that for the staff? And that was a moment where I suddenly realized, wow, you know, a little bit of knowledge and you can start moving forward. So yeah, that was what set me on my journey. And I still wouldn't describe myself as someone who absolutely embodies confidence, but I think that's what positions me well, and I think it's what people relate to when they come for coaching, is that I get it. I get what it's like to be so nervous about it all.
And it's so funny because even as you're describing how nervous you are there, Dale, your screen keeps shaking. I think it might be because as you're moving, the desk is moving with you.
Am I bashing the table?
Bashing it. Yeah, I can hear you bashing the table as well. But it's wonderful because it's making it such a live and etheric experience for everybody. You're bashing
4D.
All of those spheres are coming out. Oh,
hang on, I'll turn on the sound effects of the heart rate going. Give me a second.
That's it. You know, we won't go to the side and go, oh shit, you know. I love it when you know, life matches what we're actually talking about. Absolutely. And it starts shifting around.
Absolutely.
That's so wonderful to hear about, you know, and I love these stories where people kind of evolve into what they become experts at. And I know that in seeing your journey over many years now, Toastmasters and other things like that have really helped you to develop your craft, if you like. And so what do you think it is from your point of view that's helped you, and what do you then define as success?
I think what's helped me the most is definitely working through presentations at Toastmasters. It's just such a great forum for practicing and honing your skills. And I think competition speaking is the best for that, because at each level you're going back and you're crafting it even more, and you're looking at each word and saying, does this sentence pay the rent? What can I do to improve it? and obviously succeeding to get to the point of actually going to the World Championships in Vancouver in 2017 was just wow. That was an amazing point to reach after years and years of practice and working at it. But I think in terms of what I would define success as, I would say it's about being part of someone else's journey. When you realize that someone else is flying because of the time they've spent with you and what you've been able to share with them and help them with. I think that's the most satisfying and the most important part of what we do. And as I mean, you would feel the same with your mindset coaching, I'm sure, when you see a client who suddenly goes, yeah, I can see things differently and I can do things in a different way. I'm sure you can relate to that satisfaction.
Very much so. The whole becoming an expert at something and then being able to share elements of that expertise with people and seeing them go through that same aha journey. And I love how you described going to the World Championships. I think for people that perhaps aren't in the speaking world, if you think of it as being like climbing the Everest of speaking. So Dale going to the World Speaking Championships is like she climbed the Everest of speaking, and really it's such an incredible accomplishment, and one that I know has really, been a huge boost with your career and with everything that you do. So what do you think then, if that's success, what would you say you're passionate about for your clients and for yourself?
I think I'm most passionate about helping people not close off their path because of a fear which doesn't need to be there. And I think one of the things that I've done is set up Chatter Camp. So that's a program that I run for primary school students. It's done on entirely a volunteer basis. So this year I'm actually doing 2 camps. So those 6 days that I devote to the camps are purely on a voluntary basis. We have a team of trainers who take leave from their daily life, offer their time as well. And that's all about working with the children and helping them overcome their fears. And it's just so exciting because afterwards we get messages from the parents saying, Johnny's signed up for the school play, which he had never done before, or Pip's decided to participate in debating this year. And you see them kind of expanding their horizons because of time that we've invested in them. So yeah, that's my biggest passion is just being able to, I guess, not let it hold people back the way it did me in my school career.
And it's interesting how that experience then from when you were in South Africa helping the children in the girls' school, you've now here and in your life in Sydney, you're also replicating that experience for the children here. And well done. I mean, that's such a fabulous gift to give them. I think the more that children especially can be taught that self-confidence of speaking and clearly speaking and communicating, even the interpersonal communication skills would improve, astronomically, from being able to stand up and express their thoughts, their feelings and their emotions around things, not just in a larger audience, but obviously in those smaller audiences. That's so
Absolutely
great. And so with so much depth from Toastmasters to Chatter Camp and all of those different things, I know that many of the people watching who may suffer their own fear or anxiety, or even if they're speaking frequently, wanting to improve, what would be some of the tips to create that mindset for success that you would suggest to them to kind of build and develop those skills that you need?
I think the most important thing is to let go of perfection. I think a lot of people have this idea that they've got to stand up and speak and get it, absolutely right first time. And I think you have to see speaking as a journey. You're going to get better and better the more you do it, but it's unrealistic to assume you're going to be amazing, you know, Tony Robbins standard the first time that you get up to speak. So I think let go of perfection, treat it as an aspiration, but not a requirement. And know that if you do your preparation, you'll still deliver something worthwhile, and you will become more and more amazing as you go along. So that would be the first one.
That's, I think, a really important point, and I really want to stress for women as well, because that whole perfectionism can stop women, and especially women as we age, or as we this or as we that, or even younger women who don't think they're good looking enough or bad enough, thin enough, fill in the blank. I think that idea of perfectionism is something that we each in our own different journeys to speaking have to get past. And Dale was actually watching me fiddling with my hair before we came live today. And so it never stops. You're always kind of aware of what you look like, but that you can't stop because of your idea of, you know, I wish my hair did this, or I was thinner, fatter, taller, shorter, whatever it is. You just have to kind of keep going. And I'm sure you get that a lot with your clients as well, helping them to keep going.
Well, in some cases, just take the first step. Just do it. I think that's a crucial one. And along with that, I think is letting go of judgment. Don't approach it with the mindset of what will people be thinking about me? What if I'm not good enough? What if they don't like my hair? All of those sort of things. I think it's if you move into rather an attitude of just sheer enthusiasm. I've got some information. I want you to have it. Here it is. You know, go approach it with an attitude of generosity and enthusiasm. I've done my best to make this interesting, and then just let go. I think that's a really important aspect of speaking.
And it's so true, because with judgment, which everybody does throughout the day with whatever's going on in their life, and I think a big part of that is not comparing yourself. So there may be somebody that is speaking in a stronger way or a more dynamic way, like when you're talking about Anthony Robbins. I mean, many people and many coaches might actually hold themselves up to be that standard of, you know, I want to be Anthony Robbins, or I want to be Gary Vee, or somebody like that. But if your personality is not naturally like that, then comparing yourself to anybody, but especially to people that are not like your normal personality, again, I think that judgment point you're making is really, really good, and a very important one, because our natural tendency is to keep judging things, but we can be our own worst critic with things.
And comparison is always setting yourself up for failure. There's always going to be someone slimmer, richer, prettier, cleverer, you know, name the category than you. So what's the point? It's just not a useful way to go through life on any aspect, not just presenting, I think.
Yeah, some of my heroes that when I started off with the work I do, they present it as everybody's standing on like a mountain of value, and that mountain of value is your experience, your expertise, who you are. And I with my own clients work through that quite a lot as well, to support them to really go into, well, I have a great mountain of expertise, and it looks completely different to every other person on the planet's mountain of expertise. So when you look inwardly rather than outwardly, you actually can keep building that confidence, and those judgments, like I said, they don't stop coming up, but you can keep ignoring them and moving forward.
And I think you're absolutely right, Michelle. And I think on that is putting the value on what it is that you have to offer. I think we often, because it's something we just have, and maybe it came a little bit easy to us, and it's just part of who we are, we undervalue it. We assume that therefore it's not worth something, rather than the things that we've acquired through blood, sweat and tears. So I think it's that there's also a bit of a knack in accepting our gifts, accepting what we have to offer, and placing the right value on that.
Yeah, that relativeness is, I think, really important as well, because if you're around people that are doing certain things all the time, I mean, like when we were talking about this show for today, for example, and I was remembering how hard it is for many people to actually stand up and speak in front of groups, or to do something like this, to go online and speak, because I do those sorts of things and you do those sorts of things all the time. But we're in a different kind of bubble as speakers and coaches, etc., because we're around people that are doing it all the time. But the majority of people are living very different lives, where they're not on social media presenting, they're not in front of groups presenting. And so it is important to keep remembering that, yeah, for other people, there's so much more value, and they have lots of value to offer back as well.
Yes.
And so do you have other points, anything else that you'd like to share as wonderful tips for a successful mindset?
I think the last one is just do the preparation. I think that's a given, but then trust the preparation that you've done. I think we sort of tend to get caught up in the I should have done more, I could have done this, I haven't practiced it 250 times, I need to do what you can, and then go, I've done the best that I can, I will trust that that is enough to see me through the experience. So I think taking that leap of faith, and then, yeah, there's just approaching it with that enthusiasm and energy, and wanting to give something valuable to your audience. There's a great speaker, you might have come across her when she traveled to Sydney. I think her name's Sue Golk. She's interviewed or surveyed a lot of her audiences about what the one quality that they'd like to see in a speaker is. And she says, overwhelmingly, the response is usually enthusiasm. So I think that's what people want. They don't necessarily want the best or most polished speaker, or absolutely perfectly organized information. They want someone who's passionate, eager, and enthusiastic to impart their message. So I think getting into that mindset of enthusiasm is probably one of the most valuable things you can do to connect with your audience.
I agree wholeheartedly. I know probably the time that helped me the most to just get by on enthusiasm was my very brief period of doing stand-up comedy. And I did all of this rehearsal, because it's only 3 or 4 minutes, learned all of these scripts, and then I would get up there, and the first time I did it, I forgot the script. This is like 3 minutes, and I forgot the script 3 times. And I just kept laughing and sharing what was going on with the audience. And they were laughing and carrying on as well. And I was just, instead of being about the script, it ended up being about, I'm so nervous and everything. But they loved the fact that I was just so enthusiastic, and I was trying really hard. It was just like, in terms of doing it by the book and in the correct order, like this disaster. But I learned a lot, like you're saying, people want, if you're standing in front of people or doing something like this, people want you to do well, and they want to feel inspired and uplifted, and they want to see how passionate and enthusiastic you are about what you do, and then that helps them to go, oh yeah, I can do that too, about what they're passionate and enthusiastic.
I can enthusiastically lose my words.
And I know I was remembering as you were talking way back, and I won't talk about the technology because it would really show my age, but I remember I was doing a economics presentation, and there was all sorts of statistics and figures woven into this story. And I remember getting up and sharing the information and thinking, did I breathe? Did I this? Did I that? Because I was so focused on it. And thankfully, they were looking for the information. They weren't looking for the story. But nowadays, nobody's interested very much in the information. It's all the stories and the way that you could communicate. And like you're saying, your enthusiasm and passion for helping people, for imparting that knowledge. And one of the things I love in these conversations with my guests like yourself each week is that most of the people are motivated by helping others, and the aha moments of clients are really what inspire us to keep doing what we're doing.
Oh, look, I'll have to admit a level of it is self-serving for me, because I think the more you teach, the more you learn yourself. So I'm not ashamed to say that I get just as much out of the experience as well.
Oh, fabulous. And yes, I think that's probably the other key thing. Everybody coming on the show is some form of teacher. And I agree, everybody's a teacher in a different way. And not everybody does it in such outward ways like we do through speaking, etc. But everybody's got that mountain of value that I was talking about that they can share with different people. So I'll just have a quick look on the social media side of things and see what's happening there. So one of the questions that we get asked each week to ask the viewer, the guest, is, can you explain, what do you think, if you were to talk to your younger self today, what would you say to your younger self?
If I could go back a few years, I think one of the things would definitely be just get on with it. You know, every time I've had an idea, or like take Chattercamp, for example, that was something that was knocking around in my head for a couple of years before I actually did it. And then I remember having a conversation with a wonderful group of very dynamic people who were involved in Speakers Bank. And there was a lady called Julie Ackroyd, and she, you know, we were talking about plans for the year, and I said, oh, I'd really love to set up a camp for young children, you know, a kind of public speaking boot camp. And she turned to me and she said, John DeMartini says, if you don't put a date on it, then it's just a dream and it'll never happen. So let's set a date. And that's what we did. We set a date, and I went home and said to Alan, my husband, apparently we're running a Chattercamp. And he pulled up his laptop and said, great, I'll set up an Eventbrite booking. And next thing we knew, we were making it happen. And I think there are just so many things in my life that I've delayed and sort of sat on for a while instead of just leaping in. And thankfully I'm surrounded by a lot of people who have perhaps a lot more faith in me than I do, and they keep going, just do it, you know. And the same with my book. I'd written that, and I sat on it for 2 years before I decided to publish it. And there was still that, is it good enough? The perfectionism. Is it good enough? Is it going to give value? And then, of course, once I did put it out there, you know, people have contacted me and said, this has helped me so much. And yeah, it's just like, get on with it. Get out your own way. That's what I would tell myself, and probably still need to tell myself.
I think that's so true, that the procrastination or putting things off is something that, yeah, a lot of people throughout their lives do. And it does seem to be something that as we get older, it becomes more important to keep reminding ourselves to just do it rather than postponing it.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like the World Championships for the speaking, you must have had to plan and work towards that for quite a while as well.
Yeah, I mean, that has a very specific timeline, because you have your contests at all the different levels. So that once you've made the decision to enter, then it's just a question of how hard you're prepared to work on it. So that bizarrely wasn't as difficult. It was more just about putting in the hours to deliver something that was going to beat all the other contestants. That was.
It reminds me even more of climbing Everest, because it's that kind of same discipline for the training and for refining your presentation each time that you're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a lot of hours of practice. But again, I think that's the thing with competition speaking, is even if you don't make it through to the finals, and obviously there's a lot of contests where I haven't managed to get through to the very final stage, is I think the process is where you're learning all the time. So just as if you didn't make it to the top of Everest, if climbing's keeping you fit, right? It's building your
to base camp instead or something.
Yeah, you're building your skill set, and you're developing lots of skills to offer.
That's fabulous, and I agree wholeheartedly. I can really see how each time that I've done something like this, stepped out of my comfort zone. I guess part of the other thing about stepping out the comfort zone has also been learning the technology. We nowadays, to do anything, seem to need to be an IT specialist as a starting point to be able to do it. And so I'm quite lucky because I've worked in IT for most of my career. And so having new technology and just kind of fiddling with it and playing with it and learning how to use it and then just getting on with it has been something that I've done throughout my career. But I know a lot of people, it can also be a bit of a barrier to just going and doing things. But the good thing, I think, as well, is that the technology is getting simpler and simpler, and the things that we're able to do today were only things that specialists could do with specialist technology even 5 years ago, and it's just getting easier and easier.
I think that's, I'm in the same boat where the IT side's been interesting, particularly with last year. But I think people, again, it's the same as when you're presenting live. Things go wrong. It's also about how you handle it. I was trying to share a screen in the middle of an online training session and accidentally pulled up my 50th birthday invite. And it was psychedelics, Dale's turning 50, 70s party, all this. Everyone just packed out laughing, and they immediately all started commenting and saying, "Oh, can we come?" And and actually, obviously, it was like, that wasn't very professional, but it broke the ice, and there was lots of engagement, and I think in a way actually helped with the connection between me and the participants. I'm a human being. I'm useless on some fronts, one of them being IT, and it was just fun.
Yeah, so true. It's so true. Like when like with the comedy I mentioned, when things go wrong, everybody just loves things going wrong because it's such a human thing.
Exactly.
And it happens for them too.
Which brings us back to why perfection is not actually something you necessarily want in a presentation. People want to feel that you're real, that you're authentic, that you're someone that they can relate to. So I think that is absolutely where it's at with presenting.
I couldn't agree more. I think especially now with so much being online, having that humanness when things don't right, or when the screen's shaking everywhere, like at the beginning. So we've just got a couple of minutes, Dale. How can people get hold of you? How can they contact you?
So LinkedIn is probably a good way. Just look up my name on LinkedIn, or Dale at thespeakingformula.com.au also works.
Fabulous. And just pay attention to her surname. Rees-Bevan has hyphenated as well. So if you're looking up Dale on LinkedIn, you just need to remember that there's that hyphen between Rees-Bevan. Or you can always reach out to myself and I can put you in contact with Dale if you have trouble connecting or finding her. But thank you so much for coming on the show this week, Dale. It's been a lot of fun again, and a lot of interesting, wonderful points around the success mindset that you've shared. So thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm sorry about the earthquake at the beginning. But thank you for inviting me. It's been a lot of fun.
It's been wonderful. Thank you so much. And to all of the fabulous viewers, thank you, Dale. And then next week, we've got the amazing, incredible Sharon Connolly joining us. And Sharon is going to be talking about change, which is something that we've all been experiencing quite a lot of over the last few years, and something that she is a specialist in change management can help organisations and individuals deal with much better. But until then, I want to thank everybody for watching again and to wish you all the best and to keep safe with whatever's happening in your world. And until next week, be great, be fabulous, and be you.